Thank you for joining us. We begin this hour with court matters, where a federal high court sitting in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, has rejected the request of the immediate past governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, to hold trial in the hearing of the 80.2 billion naira fraud charges brought against him. Bello asked the court to stay execution in his trial before Justice Emeka Wite, on the grounds that there is an appeal filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, before the Court of Appeal against the contempt application by the defendant against the EFCC chairman, Ola Olukayode. Justice Wite, in his ruling on Friday, however, rejected the application made by Bello through his lawyer, Abdul Wahab Mohammed. He held that Bello was trying to make rubbish out of a criminal case by choosing to stay in his house and not respect the court orders. To discuss this, we're joined by legal practitioner Justice Ojono. Justice, thank you very much for giving us. The court has obviously rejected Yahaya Bello's request to hold the trial based on the EFCC appeal. In your legal opinion, how strong are the grounds for Bello's appeal, and how likely is it to succeed?
Okay, Felicity, my sister, you know it's going to be a very, very difficult form for me to actively give an opinion on the likelihood or otherwise of an ongoing court case. But generally, what the courts consider before deciding one way or otherwise will depend on the facts exactly before the court and the arguments and the industry of the lawyers in the case. So I feel that the court has considered the facts before it and the industry before deciding in the way that it has decided so far. And for the Court of Appeal, they already also have their work already cut out for them. So it is for them to consider the fact that have been laid before them before they decide whether the grounds that a particular litigant has presented or is relying on is strong enough to be able to get a decision in that litigant's favor.
Well, I quite acknowledge, you can't really talk about an ongoing trial. The judge did criticize Bello for disrespecting the court by not appearing. Can his absence from previous hearings impact the proceedings or be used as evidence against him?
Yes, the judge has actually shown his hand with respect to this one, and we know that as lawyers generally, we know that as lawyers generally, we know that when a matter is before a court, the court considers the facts before it. And when as in this particular case, the fact that a defendant or a prospective defendant has chosen to be absent from court too is really a grave pointer to the fact of whether the defendant will be able to enjoy some things. For example, if he eventually appears before the court, the likelihood of him getting bail in this matter may actually be quite hard because of the fact that it's obvious to everybody. So that is a major consideration that I feel that maybe the people advising him ought to have put into consideration before maybe saying that he shouldn't show up. But again, we are just speculating at this rate, and I feel that he should come out of hiding, even though he also is feeling that maybe he's going to be persecuted because of all the facts of maybe EFCC trying to take him in a Gestapo manner and things like that. So these are some of the factors to be considered, and which the court too might have considered. And we also say, especially in case of Ojukwu and the governor of Lagos State, that anybody who seeks to get a judgment of court in his favor has to at least, first of all, honor the courts. And in this case, the court has said, sure, before we even decide or before we even hear any application, whether it's for stay of execution or stay of proceedings, as this case
we certainly hope he isn't throwing himself under the bus in this case. We'll see what happens in the coming days, and of course, we'll step back to you for more analysis. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
My pleasure.
Staying with the courts, the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja on Thursday barred the immediate past Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, his daughter Fatima and son-in-law Dalal Hana from traveling outside the country. Justice Sylvanus Orji ruled that they must not leave the country pending the conclusion of their 2.7 billion naira fraud trial. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Thursday on 6 counts bordering on 2.7 billion naira fraud. They were arraigned alongside Al-Burak Investment Limited. The anti-graft agency alleged that Sirika abused these offers by awarding a consultancy of 1.3 billion naira contract for the Nigerian air startup to Tianero Nigeria Limited. The commission said in doing that, the ex-minister acted contrary to Section 19 of the Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Act 2000. Still with the Federal High Court, it has granted 100 million naira bail each to the former Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, his daughter, and 2 others. They're being tried over an alleged fraud to the tune of 2.7 billion naira. Now, according to the court, they are also to provide 2 shorties who must have landed properties in Abuja. The court also restricted the defendants from traveling abroad without its permission. The trial will commence on the 10th, 11th, and 20th of June. Counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Rotimi Jacob, spoke on the bail conditions granted by the court.
2 cases filed against the former minister. So the first one is taken before his lordship here. So we are going to contend for the other one in another date. So, but the bail is at the discretion of the court. So it's for the court to decide whether it is adequate or not. So a counsel in his own right cannot criticize the judge whether the conditions are liberal or high or low, but I think it is fair. Yes, thank you. Well, there are other issues that were introduced, like the Nigerian Airways with Ethiopia something, which we added to it. So it was not there originally, but Nigerian Air matter is there are 2 counts on it. That's why we amended it. On condition that one of the surety must own property in Abuja and must deposit some money out or bond and all those things. So I don't think it's strenuous.
Earlier, we were joined on the news by legal practitioner Elvis Asia to discuss this.
Generally speaking, when a bail bond amount is announced like this, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to pay it, unless that is part of the conditions given, which is very rare. The idea is that you give the bond and to almost like an undertaking that the person will be brought to court to face his or her charges or trial. So if for whatever reason you are unable to produce a person, then you may forfeit that bond. That means that you have to pay that money, or if you had paid it, you will lose it. So it's really nothing new. I don't think the amount is too much. I think, given the nature of the offense for which the minister and the other people have been tried, I don't think it's too out of place to place that amount. So I want to believe that the minister will have people.
Let's also tell you that the U.S. Department of Justice has been asked to reopen an investigation into energy giants Shell and ENI over their alleged involvement in a bribery scandal in Nigeria. The scandal surrounds the acquisition of OPL 245. U.S. lawmakers now want the department to ascertain the payment of bribes to Nigerian government officials to the tune of $1.1 billion. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is accused of receiving $200 million. The renewed call follows revelations of alleged extensive corruption within the oil industry, with allegations suggesting that Shell and ENI orchestrated illicit payments to secure lucrative oil contracts. This latest development underscores the persistent efforts by international authorities to hold corporations accountable for unethical practices in the pursuit of profit. The FCPA investigation, initially launched in response to suspicions of corruption surrounding the OPL 245 deal, gained new momentum as new evidence emerged, shedding light on the extent of dirty deals within the energy sector. Away from that, the House of Representatives has called on Nigeria's Vice President Kashim Shettima, who is the chairman of the board of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, to convene an emergency meeting of the board to address issues related to the resuscitation of the Gbarian power plant. Lawmakers say that the plant, located in Bayelsa State, south-south Nigeria, lost its power control model to a fire incident since 2020 and is yet to be replaced, thus complicating the nation's power challenges. They also accused the Niger Delta Power Holding Company of failing to bring the plant back on stream.
Reaching its potential, the Gbarian Power Station can confidently power the whole Niger Delta region and beyond. Mr. Speaker, the House is saddened that rather than resuscitate the power plant, which is built with $400 million and valued as of today with over $800 million, the management of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company is proposing to designate the 252 megawatt open cycle power station as a construction site. It is the intervention of the Bayelsa State government that have kept this equipment intact because they are supposed to be under controlled temperature. If not, they could have been exploded. Mr. Speaker, the House resolved to urge the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who is the chairman of the board of the Niger Delta Power Holding Company, to summon an emergency meeting of the board for urgent resuscitation of the Gbarian power plant in order to increase national grid.
Aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it.
Nigeria's House of Representatives has mandated its Committee on Foreign Affairs to conduct a thorough investigation of allegations of charging Nigerians exorbitant visa fees and denying them visas after payment. This followed the adoption of a motion raised on the floor of the House as lawmakers expressed concern, saying many Nigerians around the world are with challenges bordering on consular services. The lawmakers say that because of this, many Nigerians have been stranded outside the country, with others held in correctional centers against their wish.
Many Nigerian students are stranded in foreign lands over issues that can be resolved, and that many Nigerians own businesses around the world helping to contribute to the economy of those countries and sending remittances back home. They are suffering harassment and sabotage. Several modes of visa applications are in force, including express services with huge costs paid by applicants who are sometimes denied visa after such payments. Conscious that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in addition to budgetary allocation, benefits from intervention funds, from running the affairs of the ministry and missions, as well as the internally generated revenue by several missions around the world, has questions in the effective and efficient utilization of such funds over the years.
Motion should say aye. Those against should say nay. The ayes have it. This motion is referred to the Committee on Foreign Affairs for further legislative action.
The two arms of the National Assembly, the Senate and the House of Representatives, are on opposing sides on the propriety of the 0.5% cybersecurity levy introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The disagreement came on a day Northern Elders Forum, NEF, a prominent social-cultural organization representing the interests of the North, strongly condemned the Apex Bank's decision to impose the levy on bank customers. While the Senate said there was nothing wrong with the levy as both arms passed it into law, the House of Representatives asked the CBN to suspend its implementation following public outcry that has trailed it. According to the Senate, both arms of the National Assembly unanimously passed it before President Bola Tinubu signed it into law. Let's get more angle on this. We're joined now by public affairs analyst Jide Ojo. Jide, it's good to have you on the news. On the one hand, the House of Reps wants the levy suspended because of public outcry, while the Senate is arguing it's already law and they shouldn't touch it. Can you help us clarify the current legal status of the levy and the next steps for maybe resolving this disagreement between the two houses?
Well, Felicity, good evening.
The issue for me is I listened to Honorable Chinda from River State, and it did say that the central bank misinterpreted that section of the law, that it is actually not the customers of the banks that are supposed to pay the cybersecurity fund, but rather the banks, the National Communication Commission, the telecommunication companies, and relevant agencies. So if truly there is misrepresentation or misapplication or misinterpretation of that law, it needs to be revisited. However, away from the point of law, let's look at it from the point of morality. Why is Tinubu administration overtaxing the citizens of Nigeria? It set up a committee, Taiwo Oyedele committee, who submitted a report recently, and they collapsed over 62 taxes that are being paid in Nigeria to 9. And they want more people to be able to pay tax voluntarily. But this is just like you are laying siege on bank customers to fund whatever. Because we've had the stamp duty levy, which is being deducted from our accounts. We have the maintenance levy being deducted from our accounts. We have to pay for debit card. We have to pay SMS charges. We are paying so many levies and taxes in the name of banking. How do you want to ensure financial inclusion? How do you want to bring the people in rural communities to embrace banking when they are overtaxed? Because this is quite mischievous. And now the federal government is targeting about, is it 7 trillion or thereabout from the proceeds that they intend to make from this cybersecurity levy. So invariably, it's a disingenuous way by which they intend to fund the budget of the country. But they are not actually talking about reducing the cost of governance. That is what worries me.
Well, there's something else.
Reducing the cost of governance.
Jide, there's something else I'd like you to share your thoughts on, and that's the relevance, the purpose for which they are requesting this fund. Some say it is also pertinent that we provide funding for fighting cybersecurity or dealing with issues that come with it. But are there maybe, we also understand that the House of Representatives seems open to other solutions. So are there maybe alternative funding mechanisms that could be considered for strengthening cybersecurity in Nigeria without the untoward hardship that it might bring to the citizens via this taxing, if I may use that word?
You see, the whole purpose of governance, according to Section 4 and Section 4 subsection 2b of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the purpose of government is welfare and security of citizens. Now, Felicity, in good conscience, what is the welfare that average Nigerian is enjoying under the Tinubu administration? You have removed subsidy from petrol. You have removed subsidy from electricity. The telecommunication company has written to Nigerian Telecommunication Company, the Nigerian Communication Commission, NCC, to allow them to also increase their own tariff. And now we are being bogged down with cybersecurity levy.
if only the taxes that have been that Nigerians have paid in time past can be seen to work for them, perhaps Nigeria would not be very difficult to persuade to allow this bitter pill to be swallowed. But what we have seen is the luxurious and spendthrift attitude of people in government. Look at the cost of governance. Look at how much they are spending on travels. Look at how much they are spending on entertainment of guests. Look at how much they are spending on welfare.
So if I'm to infer from what you're saying, it's basically if they focus more on reducing the cost of governance, there will be no need to have this levy put on the citizens.
If they actually cut down the cost of governance, if they cut down to the barest minimum, we have seen the controversy that came out of the 2024 appropriation law, which we call budget. Look at the budget padding, the controversy about padding that budget with over 7,000 projects that were not designed, no conception, they were just hidden there, costing over 2 trillion. At the end of the day, we keep increasing the cost of governance, and no amount of levy since about 7 years that they have been collecting stamp duty. Has there been any accountability on what they have used the stamp duty to do? Which road have they used it to fix? Which hospitals, which schools have they built? And this administration has continued to borrow exponentially.
I mean, you do make some really valid points with the questions you pressed as to what Nigerians are gaining from this administration. Well, let's see what happens in the coming days. I'm sure the conversation is not over yet, but we have to pause it now so we can bring out the stories. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
It's my pleasure, Felicity. Enjoy your weekend.
You too. Now, earlier in the year, the Cybersecurity Experts Association of Nigeria predicted a rise in insider threats for the country in 2024, driven by an increase in the malicious use of artificial intelligence. This was contained in the association's forecast for 2024. The threat to cyber safety is real and true, and every day a lot of individuals and organizations alike fall prey to cyber criminals. News Center's Bettina Uweli spoke to some experts about the issue of cybersecurity. Our report.
Nigeria's rapid growth as a technological hub in Africa has brought about the significant challenge of increasing cyber crime. While the economic and social benefits of this technological growth are evident, cyber criminals are drawn to these successes, posing a threat to future growth.
I wouldn't say social media is a risk, the end user is the risk. And I think that's purely from a lack of education. And I think what happens is a number of people are targeted because of their inexperience. They receive messages which they don't recognize or understand, and they go into them, which then obviously creates an area for them to be attacked, or what we call phished or spear phishing. And people assume other people's identities and intercept payments and those kinds of things. So I think in reality, your first step is the individual or the person that needs to be educated, and then technology can assist.
Curbing cybercrime in Nigeria requires raising public awareness about cyber threats. This is instrumental in minimizing the perception gap of cybercrime and reducing the pool of vulnerable individuals falling prey to criminal schemes.
No matter what you do, you'll be attacked, you'll be tried. But you need to be prepared to ensure that you've put mitigation plans to ensure that once those things happen, you are secured. The losses that you get when you get attacked is way more than you can actually envisage when all these things happen. So if you look at the investment that we put in place as a cybersecurity solution, is very minute as compared to the losses that we make from data losses, and then of course trust and breach of confidence. And so the banks, the likes of the telcos and all those things, they are doing everything possible to make sure that, they don't get all these challenges.
On Monday, The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, issued a circular to various financial institutions, including commercial, merchant, non-interest, and payment service banks, indicating that the recent introduction of the 0.5% cybersecurity levy on all banking transactions would come into effect 2 weeks from May 6 this year.
It is important that we take cybersecurity very, very seriously, and we need to invest more into cybersecurity.
While this has sparked widespread discontent among Nigerians, the reality is that the cyberspace of the country does need protection. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nwili.
President Bola Tinubu on Friday conferred the second highest national honor of Grand Commander of the Order of Nigeria on the Awujale and paramount ruler of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Adetona, for his contributions to national development. Tinubu gave the honor at the 90th birthday celebration of the paramount ruler held at the Oba Sikiru Adetona School of Governance, Olabisi Onabanjo University, Ogun State. The president, who was represented by Vice President Kashim Shettima, described traditional ruler as an extraordinary royal father and hero of Nigeria's democracy, who is adored all over the country for his sincerity of purpose and courage in the face of any adversity threatening national development. The National Identity Management Commission says 107.34 million Nigerians have been enrolled into the National Identification Number Database as of May 2023. NIMC Director General Abisoye Koka Odusote gave the new figure at a press briefing on Friday in Abuja. She said the NIN enrollment figure reached 107 million, as of May 2024, up from 85.6 million recorded in December 2023. According to her, the figure was an increase of 3.2 million or 3.2% from the 104 million in December 2023. She added that this accomplishment stems from the strategic plan implemented by the current NIMC management, aligned with its 5-point agenda to capture all Nigerians in the shortest possible time. In politics, a renowned political economist, Professor Pat Utomi, says his plan to form a mega political party with like-minded people and political groups ahead of the 2027 general elections is on course. According to him, the redemption of the country could not be achieved by the ruling All Progressive Congress or any of the opposition parties. Utomi noted that the present political parties had failed the people and had not added value to nation building. He said the planned mega party is to disrupt the current political order and deliver that impactful leadership that the country truly deserves. Now, some updates from Rivers State. The clerk of the State House of Assembly, Dr. Emeka Amadi, has said there was no change in the leadership of the Assembly, stating that Martin Amawule remains the Speaker, while Dumle Maol and Major Jack remains Deputy Speaker and Majority Leader, respectively. In a press release signed by the clerk titled "A Disclaimer by the Rivers State House of Assembly," issued on Thursday night, Amadi said apart from the seat of Akana Constituency 2, which was declared vacant because of the death of the member who represented the constituency, no other seat has been declared vacant. He went further to state that Victor Okojumbo, Sokari Goodboy Sokari, and Adolphus Timothy were suspended on the 30th of October 2023 pursuant to the rules of the House, and their suspension is yet to be lifted, and they cannot lay claim to be officers of the House. Following protest by some civil society organizations in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, a journalist with the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, Daniel Ojukwu, who was abducted by the intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police, has regained freedom. Ojukwu regained freedom on Friday after 10 days in police captivity. FIG disclosed this on Friday on its website. Ojukwu was said to have gone missing on Wednesday, May 1. His numbers were switched off and his whereabouts unknown to colleagues, family and friends. On Thursday, some civil society organizations and journalists stormed the force headquarters in Abuja to demand the release of Ojukwu. Bandits on Thursday night invaded the Confluence University of Science and Technology, Osara Okene, in Kogi State and abducted 9 students. An eyewitness account indicated that the bandits swooped on the university around 9 p.m. local time while the students were reading for their upcoming examination. The source said that the bandits came in through the bush, went into 3 lecture halls and began to shoot into the air to scare the students. A student who craved anonymity said that he and some colleagues ran to the bush and hid there for more than an hour. The state government has pledged to rescue the kidnapped university students.
See that the entire government apparatus of Kogi State is right here now, and that is the direction of the governor. Even if it is just one student, it's one citizen of the state, and the state government will not spare anything to ensure that they are rescued. The parents are here, we are also here, and we are all parents today. The state government is the parents today, and they are encouraged by the actions taken by the governor and the government of Kogi State as well as the management of the school. They are encouraged that they could see government officials.
Let's bring you some health stories. 6 Amalgiri pupils have lost their lives due to a suspected meningitis outbreak in Udobo village in the Gamawa local government area of Bauchi State. Chairman Caretaker Committee of the local government, Nasiru Bakura, confirms the deaths to journalists on Friday. This follows reports on social media claiming that about 15 people have died from the suspected outbreak. Bakura also said the pupils died in 3 different Sangaya schools, all located in Udubo town of Gamawa local government area. Bakura added that the affected Sangaya schools are mostly congested by Almajiri pupils, amplifying the situation. Health workers at both the local and state levels are actively managing the outbreak with drugs procured to treat affected patients. Other parts of Africa. South Sudan's government has launched a new round of peace talks with rebel groups on Thursday in Nairobi, with Kenya mediating after earlier negotiations fell apart in 2022. Previously, talks between the government and a coalition of rebel groups, which did not sign a 2018 peace agreement that ended a 5-year civil war, were brokered in Rome by a Catholic association with ties to the Vatican. But the government withdrew from the negotiations in November 2022, accusing the rebels of using the talks to buy time as they prepare for war. Following a request from President Salva Kiir, Kenya agreed to step in as mediator, appointing former army commander Lazarus Sumbeyo to lead the talks.
Listening to both the representative of the opposition and the representative of government, and the language of brotherhood therein, gives us hope that there is a chance for us to settle this once and for all.
For peace in South Sudan, which when fully achieved, will bring everlasting stability and economic development in the region, and leave alone South Sudan, but in the region.
Peace agreements are not being implemented. What we need is a serious dialogue, a real soul search, so that we can really address the root causes and come out with a new social contract that will define what type of a state we want to have, that will define what type of a nation we are.
Britain's main opposition Labour Party on Friday pledged to scrap the Conservative government's flagship Rwanda scheme if it comes to power, replacing it with a tougher, more joined-up approach to tackling irregular migration. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has stacked his political reputation on his plan to stop the boats pushing the controversial deportation plan despite opposition from rights groups and judicial rulings. Labour, which is widely expected to win the next general election later this year after 14 years in opposition, has been under mounting pressure to say what it will do if it is voted into office. Immigration has become an increasingly central political issue since the United Kingdom left the European Union in 2020, largely on a promise to take back control of the country's borders.
This record must raise is whether the latest gimmick, the Prime Minister's Rwanda scheme, can really be taken as a serious solution to this important challenge. I don't think so. They will get flights off the ground. I don't doubt that. But I also don't doubt that this will not work. A policy that will see just a few hundred people removed to Rwanda a year. Less than 1% of the people who cross the sea in small boats every year. Less than 1% for £600 million. That is neither an effective deterrent or a good use of your money. And then you look at the rest of our border system, and honestly, it's like a sieve. And that is my message to the smugglers. These shores will become hostile territory for you. We will find you, we will stop you, we will protect your victims. With the Border Security Command, we will secure Britain's borders.
In South Africa, Mkhonto Weziwe, together with its leader, former President Jacob Zuma, and the IEC were today at the Constitutional Court to square up after the elections body appealed the ruling of the Electoral Court, which found Zuma was eligible to run as a candidate in the upcoming elections, despite being handed a 15-month prison sentence by the Constitutional Court in June 2021. Meanwhile, Zuma and the MK party warned the 6 justices who sentenced him to 15 months imprisonment in 2021 for contempt of court to recuse themselves on this matter. However, the IEC said no matter the outcome of the appeal, it would have no bearing on the election as all electoral processes had been concluded and no more changes to the ballot or the electoral lists could be made. Zuma is the leader and face of the MK party.
We're also just as baffled as to why we're here today, because there's no need for us to be coming here. There's no need for the IEC, after the judgment by the Electoral Court, to bring us here. I mean, they're saying that they're seeking clarity. How can you seek clarity on an urgent basis by coming to the Constitutional Court? And then you go and you lodge a case with the Constitutional Court or the back of an order when the clarity that you need is actually in a judgment.
We are here to support the 3 civil society organizations that have been admitted as the amicus curiae in the IEC case, because we believe that IEC has a right, just like any other ordinary South African, to approach the court for constitutional clarification questions. And we are also here to say we support the IEC, and we are also ready to admit any outcome.
Doctors at the Kuwaiti Specialty Hospital in Rafah say they are struggling to cope with a surge of emergency cases amid shortages of staff and equipment, alongside a lack of capacity now that other hospitals in the area are out of service. There are currently 3 hospitals operating in Rafah, including the Emirati Maternity Hospital, and over the past weeks, the World Health Organization has been ensuring that they are fully prepared and supported in terms of medical supplies. Dr. Ahmed Dai, team lead of the WHO office in Gaza, said the hospitals are already overloaded with patients and recent developments have affected access. He cited examples of Al Naja Hospital, which provides dialysis services for more than 100 patients.
الظروف الحالية وفي ظل الاجتياح البري لمدينة رفح وفي ظل خروج مستشفى أبو يوسف النجار عن الخدمة، أصبح المستشفى الوحيد الذي يستقبل الإصابات هو مستشفى الكويت التخصصي. وصراحة مستشفى الكويت يستقبل عدد مهول وعدد كبير جدا من الإصابات، مما أدى إلى تفاقم الوضع الصحي في هذا المستشفى وفي مدينة رفح بالكامل. والآن في خروج مستشفى أبو يوسف النجار عن الخدمة أصبح الآن صعوبة في تحويل الحالات وصعوبة في استقبال الحالات، أصبح كم هائل يأتي من من الإصابات إلى مستشفى الكويت التخصصي. ومستشفى الكويت كان قبل خروج مستشفى أبو يوسف عن الخدمة كان يستقبل حالات جراحية وحالات غير جراحية مثل حالات الأطفال وحالات الباطنة. فمع العدد المهول للإصابات يعني أصبح الوضع الصحي في مستشفى الكويت التخصص أصبح صعب جدا، وأصبح نقص في الأدوية ونقص في الطواقم الطبية ونقص في المستلزمات الطبية. يعني كان قبل حينما يأتي عدد معين من الإصابات كان لدينا القدرة على التعامل مع هذه الحالات، لكن الآن في ظل خروج مستشفى أبو يوسف.
Zimbabwe is currently grappling with a severe drought, resulting in a substantial decline in corn production. The latest assessment of the 2023-24 season's crop reveals a staggering 72% decrease in corn output compared to the previous year. This alarming situation has necessitated the importation of corn to bridge the gap and safeguard food security within the country. As a guest on Business Edge show, Trimo Mulanga, an economist, provided his insights on the distressing impact of this drought, particularly in southern Africa, with a specific focus on Zimbabwe.
The drought is El Nino induced, and it's not affecting Zimbabwe alone. As you have said, it's southern Africa, and as we're speaking, states of disaster, national disaster in 3 economies at least have been declared by respective presidents, which was Zambia first, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. So when you look at in Malawi, they estimate about 1 million people in need of aid, food aid. In Zambia, about 2 million, and Zimbabwe, something beyond 6 million. So when you look at Zimbabwe, the economy remains agrarian. It's based on primary output. It's mainly agriculture, and then mining, as these also feed into the manufacturing industry. So around about 2 million or more metric tons are required for food security, but the harvests for the 2023-2024 season estimated around 600,000 tons, meaning a day.
Nigeria's under-17 side, Flamingos, have arrived Bamako, Mali, ahead of Saturday's FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup qualifying fixture against Burkina Faso. The team landed in Modibo Keita International Airport Thursday evening from Abuja. The third-round tie was moved from Ouagadougou to Bamako due to the inability of the Burkina Faso Football Federation to provide a suitable venue for the game. The encounter will hold at the Stade 26 March, Bamako, on Saturday. The reverse fixture will hold at the Moshood Abiola Stadium, Abuja, on Saturday, May 18. Meanwhile, CAF has made a change to the fourth official of Saturday's match at Stade 26 March in Bamako. Originally, Jocelyn Nsabimana was to be the fourth official, but CAF has now appointed Teneba Bagayoko from Mali to be the fourth official.
It's been a good journey for us, and this we give glory to God Almighty for safe journey. It will be stressful because of the 2 stopover we have on the way, but notwithstanding, this is part of the game. Getting to this place, we are well.
And that's all at this hour, but before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Abuja High Court has rejected ex-Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello's request to stop trial. Ex-Aviation Minister Hadi Sirika and daughter barred from travelling abroad. Britain's Labour Party has promised to scrap UK-Rwanda asylum scheme if voted to power. Would like to hear from you. Please send us your thoughts at News Central TV on socials, or you can use the phone number on your screen. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for watching. See you later.